Find the greatest common factor of a list of terms. So our first example, we're looking at x cubed and x to the 7th. So if we were to do some prime factorization here, then x to the 3rd is x 3 times, and x to the 7th is 7 factors of x. And the greatest common factor then are all of the common factors. So if we start with x, okay, those two have x in common. And then another x, yes, another factor of x in common. And a third factor of x in common. But x to the 3rd doesn't have any more factors, so this is the most that these two terms could have in common. So if I multiply x times x times x, that's x to the 3rd for the greatest common factor. Our next example, 6x to the 5th and 4x to the 3rd. So 6 is 3 times 2 and x 5 times. And 4 is 2 times 2 and x 3 times. Okay. So greatest common factor here, let me start with 3. Is there a 3 in common between these two terms? No. How about 2? Yes, there is a 2 in common for both of these terms. Then the variable factors, x. Okay, they have an x in common, another x in common, and another x in common. There's more factors of x in here, but there's no more in here, so that means that this is the most these two terms have in common. That's 2x to the 3rd. In our third example here, we've got a cubed b squared b to the 5th, and a to the 4th b to the 7th. So that's going to be 3 factors of a, 2 factors of b, 2 factors of a, 5 factors of b, and 4 factors of a, 7 factors of b. Whew. That's a lot. Okay. So greatest common factor then for these 3 terms. Let's start with a. Is there an a in common for all? Yes. Another a? Yes. How about another a? Nope. So I'm going to stop that one. And let's move on. B. Is there a b in all of these? Yes. Another b in all of these? Yep. And that's all the factors we have in the first term. So these are the most that these 3 terms could all have in common. And that's a squared b squared for the GCF. Did you notice any pattern for the variable factors? If you notice that the most they could have in common is the lowest exponent. So in this case, b has the lowest exponent, that's 2 factors, and a has the lowest exponent, that's 2 factors. So when working with variable factors, you take the lowest exponent of all the common factors. So if we look at these 3 terms here, and we want to find the greatest common factor, we'll take all the common factors with the lowest exponent. So, do all of these have an x? Yes. And the lowest number is 3. So x cubed is the greatest common factor for the x factor. Do they all have y? Yes. So y with the lowest exponent, that'll be 4. So the greatest common factor for these 3 terms is x cubed y to the 4th.